Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be looking at the concept of decimal percent. Now you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, decimal percent? That doesn't sound like anything that we've done before. I just want to alleviate a couple of your fears. You might have been thinking of percentages as something that have been whole numbers up until now. And it just so happens that as we move a little bit further on foundationally in math, we can start adding decimals or pieces of percents to our percentages. So the concepts that you've been working with are pretty much the same as you're going to see in this video. I do invite you to pause the video as you need to try to work through what we're talking about. And if you need to rewatch the video, I invite you to do that. If something doesn't make sense, you can comment down below and I'll get back to you. So let's look at this. What we have here is 23.6% of 252. That's what we're trying to find today. And let's put this in terms of things that we can understand. Let's pretend that, first of all, this 252 is 100% of my total. So the total is 100%. That's what it's equal to. And if that doesn't make sense, let's put it in terms of this. Let's pretend you have a paycheck and you're looking at the amount of money that is going to be put into your bank. 100% of the money put into your bank from your paycheck is this amount of money. Okay, so when you see your pay stub, you say, okay, there's $252, that's what they're paying me, that's what's going into my bank, that's what you're expecting to see. It is your entire paycheck, what you are putting into the bank. Now let's say that you want to put some money aside. You want to buy a car, or you want to buy some clothing, or you want to buy a new PS5, whatever it is. And you have decided that you want to be able to buy this new thing within a certain amount of time and have just hypothetically thought that 23.6% was a good number. It's not quite a quarter of your check, so it's a little bit less than a quarter, and that will come into play a little bit later on. So you think, hey, you know what, let's do that, 23.6%. But how much is that? What is 23.6% of 252? That's what we're going to show you to calculate. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to change this into a decimal because it's much easier for us to work with. And how do we do that? Well, much like any other number we're trying to change into a decimal, what we want to do is switch this into a fraction. And when we do it into a fraction, we always want to calculate, because we're dealing with percent, almost everything that we do is out of 100. And so we're going to take 23.6 and divide it by 100%, our total percentage. Okay? And what we end up with here is moving this decimal 2 spaces. 2 zeros moves 2 spaces. So our new decimal ends up here, and our new number becomes decimal 236. And now what we want to do is we want to calculate how much is 23.6% of this. Well, so we're going to take that and multiply it by 252, which is 100% of our total. So we knew that $252 was being put into the bank, 100% of that. Let's take a chunk of it. Let's take a chunk of that total and put it into the bank, or put it aside. And when we do that, we find that we get a chunk of $59.472. So we're putting that much aside. And if you think about that, that makes sense. Because this is less than a quarter, less than 25%, a quarter of $252 is $63. This is slightly less than a quarter. This is slightly less than 63. So mathematically, that makes perfect sense for me. And now what we have here is we have $59 that we can put aside of this weekly that we can put aside, and we can get our clothing, our car, our PS5, whatever in no time. Okay? But there is a way that we can check this. Now that we have this number, we can see whether or not we've got the right number. Now, estimating made sense to us, but let's just be sure. Let's switch over to pink here. Now that I have this number right here, I can do something with it. I can take this chunk out of this total and see if I get the number that was here. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like this. 59.472 over 252. That's going to give me a total of decimal 236, which is exactly the same number that I started with in the beginning, right here. Now we know that because we divided this to get decimal 236, if I multiply it by 100, I'm going to end up with 23.6. So I'm using all of the numbers that I've seen here. They all work together. And that, my friends, is decimal percent. What you're simply doing, the steps you need to remember is transfer the percent over to a decimal first, then take that decimal, multiply it by your total. That's going to give you the chunk that you're missing. And then to check, work backwards. Take your answer, divide it by your total to get your percentage. Thanks for watching the video. Again, if you need to stop the video, rewind it, rewatch it, you are more than welcome to do so. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give me the thumbs up or whatever. If you do have any comments down below, or if something didn't quite make sense, drop a line in the comment below, and I will gladly do another video to make any clarification that I need to. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.